Good morning and happy Friday. We've made it through another week. It is the weekend. Amazing. I've got some coffee this morning and I'm going to make some stuffed manicotti today. So, mine is just a basic recipe. It's nothing special, and I've just tried it different ways and tried different recipes, and this is just how I prefer it. It's everybody likes their manicotti in different ways, so it's totally up to you. And that's what's nice about making your own home cooked meals. You can try a recipe. If you're not sure if you like it, you can always change something and then make it your own. So that's basically what I've done with this recipe. So before I get started on the manicotti, and yeah, my hair is down. Was busy with the babies, the pups, the puppies. So anyway, before I get started on the manicotti, I have my crock pot over here, and I'm going to go ahead and put some Great Northern beans on because I want to make some homemade baked beans tomorrow. And I do those in the oven. So what I normally do is I cook my Great Northern beans, but I don't want to overcook them, so I didn't want to put them on tonight, and I was afraid they may overcook. So this way they can cook throughout the day. I can keep an eye on them. And I don't want them to be completely done, because once I put them in the oven to bake, I don't want them to turn to just mushy. So this way I can check on them throughout the day as they're cooking in the crock pot. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with that. And the only thing I'm going to add to my beans is I have some bacon. I'm going to add a little bit of raw bacon and break it up a little bit. And a little bit of salt and pepper. And I'm just going to let those cook all day until I feel that they're ready and at the right texture that I want. And then I'll let them cool, and then I'll drain them, and then I will put them in the refrigerator overnight. And then tomorrow, when I'm ready to make my baked beans, my beans will be ready for me. So with me being injured, I'm just trying to save myself a little bit of extra steps. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my hands washed, and I'll be in frame and out of frame because I'm in my ace wrap and on my injured foot and leg. So I'm trying to move as little as possible, and I'm hoping to only be up for about an hour, hour and a half on this injured leg. So I'm going to go ahead and get my hands washed. So I'm going to step out of frame for a minute. And then I'm going to go ahead and just open my pinto beans, or my Great Northern beans, not pintos. I'm going to go ahead and put them in a strainer. And I'll get those rinsed and get those ready to put in the crock pot. And I do have 2 Maltese puppies. So right now I have one laying over here taking a nap and one in the living room in her bed. So right now they're being good, but that doesn't mean they're going to stay that way. So we'll see how they do. And if they get a little rambunctious, I may have to walk away and give them a TREAT. We're going to spell it. So I'm going to go ahead and get my Great Northern beans opened and get them in a strainer and go ahead and rinse them. I went ahead and put a liner in my crock pot, so it has a liner in it. And I'm going to go ahead and just rinse these really quick. So are you ready for the weekend? I am ready for the weekend. Definitely ready for the weekend. I put one pinto bean in with my Great Northern beans. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and get these started in my crock pot. And I have a liner in it, and I'm just going to get them started. So I'm not going to take you all the way over. I have a crock pot here with a liner. I'm just going to put my Great Northern beans in, add a few pieces of bacon. I'm going to crumble them up a little bit. It's just raw bacon. And then I am going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm going to go ahead and get these started. So these will be ready for my baked beans for tomorrow's dinner. And yes, that seems like a lot of beans. It really does. But, hello, you sound lovely. Oh, well, thank you. Good morning. I'm just going to add some water. And I just want to cover them good with water. And this is going to be my baked beans for tomorrow. So I'm just putting some Great Northern beans in the crock pot. I've got a liner in my crock pot. And then I'm going to add a little bit of raw bacon, some salt and pepper. And I'm just going to turn them on and let them cook for me today. So I can just check on them throughout the day as they cook. And they'll be ready for me tomorrow when I get ready to make my baked beans in the oven. And I was going to put them on overnight, but I was afraid they might overcook. This way I can keep an eye on my baked beans. Or my Great Northern beans for my baked beans. Because I don't want them to completely cook all the way through, because I will be baking them in the oven. And turning them into baked beans. Homemade baked beans. So how are you this morning? How are you doing? It's still a little bit cool here this morning. And I thought, well, I'm going through my pantry. And I'm rotating everything. And I've had some Manicotti noodles in there. So I thought, I'm going to go ahead and make some stuffed Manicotti noodles. And these are going to be a meat stuffed Manicotti noodle. I'm just trying to save myself some trips on my foot because it's still injured. And I don't have my large boot on up to my knee, the air boot. Because I was saying yesterday on my live stream, it kind of rubbed one little area on my ankle, and I was afraid it might make a blister. So I do have it in a wrap, and I am being very easy with it. Now, when I go to take the puppies out, I do put the air boot back on just to make sure that I'm not stressing that ankle, because I do have to go up and down the stairs. Okay, so get all this out of my way. And I'm just going to add a little bit of bacon and some salt and pepper and get these turned on. And then I will get started on the manicotti. I'm just using a small amount of raw bacon, and I'm just kind of tearing it. And just kind of adding it in, just so it'll flavor my beans while they're cooking. I don't want to over flavor them because I will be adding stuff as I cook them, or bake them, should I say, tomorrow. So I'm just tearing these in some little strips. And that'll flavor my beans. And then I'm going to keep the rest of my bacon for whenever I actually bake my baked beans in the oven tomorrow. So I'll go ahead and put that back in the refrigerator. I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands. And this manicotti recipe is very simple and easy. It is a meat. They are stuffed with meat. So I am using a lean ground beef. You can use ground beef. You can use ground pork, sausage. You know, it's whatever you want to use, because this will be your recipe. You can add whatever you would like to add and make it your own recipe. So all I've got in my crock pot right now is some Great Northern beans, some water, a little bit of bacon, some sea salt, and a little bit of ground black pepper. And I thought, since I was already in the kitchen, I could go ahead and get these cooking today and just keep an eye on them and let them cook throughout the day in the crock pot. And then they will be ready for my baked beans tomorrow. So I'll go ahead and take you through what ingredients I use. I'll be using 1 pound of lean ground beef. I'll be using probably about half of a medium-sized onion, some parsley flakes, some basil, some garlic powder, some oregano, and I'm just using a Pragu traditional tomato sauce. And I'm using an Italian style 5-blend cheese, grated cheese. And I'll be using some mozzarella. So that's all of my ingredients. And I'll be using the whole pack of the Manicotti shells this morning. So I just have some water in this pot, and I really like it because it has the strainer in it as well. So, and with me being injured, I'm trying to save myself a little bit of cleanup. So all I'm going to do, I've got some water in here. I'm going to add just a little bit of salt. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. just virgin olive oil, just to keep my noodles from sticking together. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that on and let that start heating up for my pasta. And then the only other thing I'll be using today, instead of using ricotta cheese, which you can use ricotta if you want to, I'm going to be using some cream cheese. So that's a substitute that I made that I like. And I'm going to try and keep you back far enough to where you can see. But this light, if I get you much closer, you really can't see what I'm doing because this is not a very good light over my stove. And we are in the middle of remodeling. So we are making do. And I do know one day my whole kitchen will be remodeled. This is the side that has not been remodeled. We do have the island in and some of the cabinetries on the other side. But this side is getting ready to be remodeled. We removed some of the upper trim and the tops of the cabinets are out. So we're getting closer to remodeling this side. And my husband and I are both disabled, so we have people that come in to help us, and we work around their schedule. And I'm very patient. Okay, I'm just going to turn this burger on. And I'm just going to let that start browning. Pretty simple and easy. This is, to me, an easy and simple recipe. I'm going to get me a handy-dandy little trash bag ready. And I'm just going to use my strainer that I use to drain my, to rinse my Great Northern beans in and make me a little handy-dandy trash container. So, while I've got this browning, I'm going to go ahead and chop up and dice a little bit of an onion. So how is everyone today? I hope you're doing good. I know I'm enjoying this cool weather. And I made a roast yesterday on my live stream. And I made some applesauce in the crock pot, and the roast turned out absolutely amazing. And we had enough for dinner last night, and it's only myself and my husband. And then I put away the rest of the roast in my freezer, and I will have it for a freezer meal. And I'm really grateful to have those. Like I was saying yesterday, when I got my injury, I was very grateful that I had thought ahead and I had prepared some freezer meals, because I was walking around in a very large air boot, and it was really hard for me to get very much done. So I was very grateful to have those freezer meals. So I was thanking my past self for doing that. So when you're cooking for two, it's easier for me to just make a larger amount, and then I can turn it into some freezer meals. And then whenever I want to make something, I can just go to the freezer. And as I'm doing my freezer rotation, I already have some extra meals made up in my freezer. Because when you're cooking for two, it's kind of hard just to make a recipe for two people. And right now everything is expensive. Your groceries are expensive. So to me, this gives me one prep, and then I have extra freezer meals, and I have the meal for the day. So same thing with this meal I'm preparing today. Even though it's myself and my husband, there's 14 of the Manicotti shells, and I will be making all of them. And I will be dividing that up into some freezer meals. So right now I've got my ground beef on. I'm just letting it brown. And it's a lean beef, ground beef. And I'm going to go ahead and just add my onions right into my ground beef as it's browning. And this is a very simple, easy recipe. And if you need to come a little closer, I can bring you closer. However, this lighting is not very good, and it made us look white. I'll see what we can do here. I'll get you, see, the closer I get, the more white that you're seeing. This light is very, very bright. So basically, I just have ground beef and onions. And I'm moving very slow with this injury. And I'm just going to let that brown. And I'm going to go ahead and turn my pot on. And I'm going to let this water start coming to a nice boil so I can get it ready for my manicotti noodles. Now, if you want to, you can add peppers. You can add green peppers, a mixture of green and yellow sweet peppers. You can add onions. You can add whatever you want to your stuffing. This is going to be your stuffing. I'm just going to be doing simple. I'm not going to add any peppers because my husband has already had chili with peppers this week, and he has a lot of acid reflux, so it depends on your family and you know what you prefer to cook. And so I don't want to overwhelm him with too much peppers at this point this week, so I'm just going to do a basic stuffing for my manicotti. And I'm just going to be using hamburger and onion at this point. I'm just going to let it brown. And I'm going to put this other half of my onion in a bag. Because when I make my baked beans tomorrow, I can go ahead and use the other half of this onion tomorrow in my baked beans. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the refrigerator. And this is all of the applesauce that I have left over from the crockpot applesauce I made yesterday. And it turned out absolutely delicious. And hopefully you can see that. It turned out. Now, I do like my applesauce with a little bit of chunks. So I just thought I'd let you see the finished product. And all the cinnamon was just perfect. The amount of sugar I put in was perfect. And it was enough for both of us to have warm applesauce as a dessert last evening with our roast and biscuits. And this is what's left over. And I'll be having this with my lunch today. So I am glad we've made it to the end of the week. We're heading into the weekend. And I was going to go back to the camper this weekend, and I thought, no, I'm going to give my foot just a little bit longer to heal. Because the camper steps are metal, and they're kind of small. So I'm going to wait just a little bit longer to go to the camper. And when I'm going outdoors with the puppies, to take them to POTTY. I'm putting on that large air boot that I got from the emergency room visit, just to make sure I'm not overstressing my ankle. And I do need to give my ankle a break every now and then from the boot because of the foot swelling. It's wanting to rub in different places in that air boot. So I do have it wrapped. I'm not putting full pressure on that leg. So I'm trying to do things that doesn't take a whole lot of time in the kitchen, and I can still have a good healthy meal for myself and my husband. Even though you're injured, like I said yesterday, if you're the one that's preparing meals, then you still need to cook and prepare meals. I want to move you back just a little bit. And as you can see, that light is very, very bright over my stove. But you can see all I'm doing is browning some burger. I've got some onions, and I'm just going to let that brown. And even though they're telling me this is a lean burger, I think this is more 80-20. So I'm going to go ahead and drain, if I need to, any excess grease. So we'll see how it cooks down. I've got my water on boiling for my Manicotti pasta, and I'll be using all 14 in the box. And yes, there's only myself and my husband, but I'm going to be putting some of this away for freezer meals. So I'm going to be using both trays, all 14. So I've tried different recipes on the Manicotti. My husband and I, we've had it with the ricotta cheese, and we've had it without the ricotta cheese with the substitute, which is what I'm going to be doing today, which is the Philadelphia cream cheese, an 8-ounce box. And we both seem to prefer the Philadelphia. Now, the recipe that I originally was using, of course, I had different Italian recipes from different books. And so I've just, over time, as I made it, I thought, well, let me add this and let me take away that. And I just added it until I thought this is what I prefer. And then I wanted to see what my husband thought. So that's why I'm doing some substituting this morning. And this is just browning some, I don't know, it does look like it might be lean. They might be right. And I just want to get these onions cooked up with the burger. Now at this point, if you wanted to add some fresh ground garlic, you could do that. But since I have the onions, I'm just going to be adding, when this is done, I'm going to be adding some garlic powder. So I'm not going to add any extra garlic. Because some of the Italian dishes are a little bit hard on my husband because he does have the acid reflux. So I'm trying to be mindful of, his health. Hi, how are you this morning? Good morning. So, we're going to be making some stuffed manicottis with a meat stuffing. It's been a while since I've made manicotti, and I was rotating my pantry, and I did not even remember that I had a box of manicotti noodles. So I thought, well, while I'm rotating, I'm going to go ahead and use these manicotti noodles. I've got everything to make them, and that'll make something really nice for this week because I've made roast, I've made chili and cornbread in the homemade chili, and I made cornbread in a cast iron skillet to go with it. Oh, you're married? Yes, I am married. I'm very happily married. And Then I made the homemade applesauce in the crock pot yesterday, and in the crock pot today, I have some Great Northern beans started, and I'm going to let them cook throughout the day, because tomorrow I'm going to make some homemade baked beans in the oven using my Great Northern beans. And yes, there is 14 shells, and it's only myself and my husband. But we will have our meal for tonight, and then I can make freezer meals, put them away in the freezer, and then anytime that I need a meal, I can just go through, and then I start rotating my freezer meals. So I'm making my meal for today, and I'm thinking ahead of time, because I still have not made it to the orthopedic doctor for my foot and leg injury. And I'm just following the emergency room instructions, waiting for them to contact me. Now this is browned, and there's not much grease in there at all. So it is cooking up nice. So while I'm waiting for my water to heat up so that I can cook my pasta, I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit of things to my pan here. And most likely you're just going to see white. This light is not the greatest, but we are remodeling, and I am making do. Now I'm just using the Prego traditional tomato sauce. I'm going to add just a little bit in with this, and just let it cook and simmer. I'm probably going to use about half of this jar. And I'm going to go ahead and get me a spoon. Now I'm going to turn this down just a little bit, because I just want this to simmer. This is going to be the stuffing for my manicotti. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some of my seasonings. I'm going to go ahead and add some garlic powder. Turn this down to a low simmer. Like I said, at this point you could add, before you added your sauce, if you even wanted to add some raw garlic, or, you know, you could go ahead and do that. But since I already have the onions in, I'm just going to go ahead and just add some garlic powder. And the traditional tomato sauce does have some different seasonings in it. But I'm going to add a little bit of basil. I'm not sure if I opened that or not. Let me make sure. I'm going to add just a little bit of basil. I don't want it to be real overwhelming. And then I'm going to add a little bit of oregano. And I'm just going to let that cook and simmer while I'm waiting for my water to boil for my pasta. it to get flavored all the way through that meat. And like I said, you can change the recipes. It's your recipe. You're making it. My favorite Italian dish. Oh, well, good. Good morning, Red. Now this I've just kind of adjusted over time. Hopefully you can see that okay. So right now I just have some ground beef, some onions, and my seasonings, and about half of my jar of the Prego traditional tomato sauce. I'm trying to be mindful of my husband and him having the acid reflux, and he has some health problems. As you get older, your body changes, and you have all these new little health problems that comes up. So we are learning and adjusting. Now while this is simmering, I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of my grated cheese. And this is a 5-cheese, Italian 5-cheese blend. And like I said, you can adjust this to your own taste. This is just a simple recipe for us. It's something that we both enjoy. And I'm just going to let that simmer. And just let all that goodness get right into that ground beef and onions. Now I do have my water on boiling. I did add a little bit of sea salt, and I did add a little bit of virgin olive oil. So when I put my Manicotti noodles in, that should help them to not stick together so bad. And I'm going to be putting these, and I'm sorry, I'm in frame and out of frame. I'm trying to move as little as possible because I'm injured. I'm just going to be using a 9x13 baking dish, and I'm going to go ahead and spray this. So I'm going to move you back, and I'm going to just spray it with Pam. And I'm going to do that over my sink so I don't make such a mess. So good morning if you're just coming in. Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. Made it through another week. The weekend is almost here. Awesome. And yes, I am limping around the kitchen, and I've just sprayed that really good. I just don't want my pasta to end up sticking to my pan and my sauces. Just going to kind of clean up around the edges there. So I'm going to go ahead and set that off to the side. Hello from Singapore. Well, good morning. Good morning, Master Chef. How are you this morning? We're just making a basic, simple and easy stuffed manicotti, and I'm doing it with a meat sauce. And I am injured and had unexpected injury to my leg and foot. So I'm trying to do some simple meals, but yet healthy meals for myself and my husband. So I'm making, even though it's only the two of us, I am making a full box of the Manicotti shells, and there is 14 in a shell, because what we do not have for dinner tonight, I'll be putting in some freezer meals for later. I'm good. It's 9:10 p.m. over here. Oh, wow. Big difference. Big difference. Now, it just depends on how your oven bakes. My oven tends, it's a new oven, but it does tend to bake a little bit warm. So, I went ahead and got me a cookie sheet, and I've lined it with some aluminum foil. And whenever I go to bake this, I'm going to set my baking dish on that cookie sheet. Sounds delicious. Oh, good. So, in my crock pot, over here, I'm going to be making some homemade baked beans tomorrow. So I put some Great Northern beans in there, got them covered in water, rinsed them good, drained them, got them in there, got a liner in my crock pot, and I just added some water. I had some raw bacon, and I kind of broke it up a little bit to flavor the beans as they're cooking today. Some salt, sea salt, and some pepper. And I'm just going to let those cook throughout the day, because I don't want them to overcook. And with me being injured, I'm trying to do meals that I can just put everything together, put it in the oven. I'm up about an hour, hour and a half on this leg, and then I can go sit down and rest. So I thought, well, if I put them on at night, they may overcook. And when you're making homemade baked beans, you don't want your Great Northern beans or your navy beans, whichever beans you're using. You don't want them to be completely overcooked, because they will turn to just mush when you go to bake them in the oven, because they'll be baking in there for quite a while. So those will be cooking all day, and whenever they get to the texture that I want, I'll turn them off, let them cool, then I'll go ahead and drain them, and I'll put them in a container and just put them in the refrigerator overnight. So tomorrow, when I get up and get ready to start my meal for tomorrow, my Great Northern beans have cooked all day, and I know that they're ready for me to make my baked beans tomorrow. So I'm trying to think ahead and make good, healthy meals, but yet not be up on this injured leg for long periods of time. So you're just seeing me kind of shift and move. It's because I am injured, and we're making do. We're making do. My water is now coming to a nice boil. I want to make sure it's boiling just a little more. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my manicotti noodles in. I hate to do it, but I'm going to have to turn on my noisy fan. Okay, we've got a nice boil. I'm going to go ahead and get these put in, and I'm going to be using all 14. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. Now that it's got a nice boil going. And I'm just going to drop these in. And I do have olive oil in there to help keep them from sticking together. And I just follow the recipe on the Manicotti box. And it says to bring 4 to 6 quarts of water to a boil, add salt to taste, and add pasta to boiling water. Boil uncovered for 7 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and start a timer. And then it says stir. What's that? Stirring occasionally. Drain and set aside on a sheet pan, which is lightly covered with cooking spray to prevent sticking. Or you can put them out on a cooling rack. Like this video, guys, and show your support to this lovely lady. Oh, well, thank you. How precious. So I don't want to over stir these. So I'm just going to lightly stir, just so they don't stick together. And I'm using this pot, which has a strainer in it, because I'm trying to save myself some cleanup. Even though I do have a dishwasher. When you're injured, you try to think ahead. And I'm just trying to think ahead a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. This is cooked really good all the way through. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn off my meat. And I just don't want to over stir these, but I just want to make sure that nothing's sticking together. And I'm going to prepare a space for my pasta. And I'm just going to be using a cooling rack. Just going to place it on my cutting board. I've got some towels under. And when I go to bring out my pasta, I'm just going to lay it out on this cooling rack to cool. And I'm going to go ahead and get this ready over here so I can bring that pot over. Turn it down just a little bit. And I don't want to overcook my pasta because I'm going to be baking this. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my oven to 350 degrees. I'm going to let that preheat. Now while that is finishing, this is all cooked. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my cream cheese to my meat sauce. And I've let these set out and get to room temperature. And I always struggle trying to get this started to get it open. Maybe it's just me. And my hands don't work like they used to. And I'm just going to add this cream cheese right into this meat sauce. And then I'm going to stir it through. Now you could use ricotta, you could use mozzarella, you could use whatever cheese that you wanted to add at this point. I'm just going to stir that in and let that melt. Now at this point, if you wanted to add some mozzarella, that would be really good. Or you could just do like I am and just add whatever cheese you prefer at this point. And I do have mozzarella, so I am going to add just a little bit of mozzarella. And I've got about 27 seconds left on my pasta. And I'm just going to kind of let this mozzarella, that's room temperature, I'm going to let that kind of melt right into my meat sauce. Okay, so there we go. So I need to remove my pasta and get it drained. Trying to move easy because I am injured, and I'm just going to drain my pasta. I absolutely love this pot because it comes with the strainer. And I'm just going to let that sit there and drain for just 1 minute. And now I have my meat sauce ready. I have my pasta ready. And I'm just going to slowly move my pasta over and let it start cooling. And I want to be as gentle as I can so I don't ruin my shells. Try and keep them shaped. And I'm just going to let it sit there and cool just a minute. And then I'll start stuffing my shells with my meat sauce. So hopefully you can see that okay. I don't want to touch too much. I'm just kind of easing you around. So now I've got my meat sauce. I've got my cheeses added. And now I'm going to move you to this side of my island, just to give me a little bit more workspace. Hopefully you can see that okay and see me okay. I'll be in frame and out of frame. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to need a plate, so I got me a plate ready. And I'm just going to move that out of my way a little bit. I'm going to move this a little bit closer. I'm going to want a plate, and then I'm going to set my pasta here. And I think I've got enough room. And I'm just going to move it over and let it set there, so it'll be easy for me to get my pasta. Now I need to get my other pan. This is really hard. We've only got about half of the kitchen remodeled, but I am working through it. So here is my sauce for in the middle that I'm going to be stuffing my pasta. So bring you down here just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to take a shell, and I'm going to be using just a teaspoon. And I'm just going to gently stuff these as easy as I can. I'm going to stuff both sides just to make sure I've got plenty of goodies in there. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of sauce to the bottom of my pan. A little bit of my tomato sauce. And then I'm also going to add some of my stuffing sauce. I'm just going to make a nice little bed here. Just going to lightly coat it. I'm just going to mix that all together there. That'll make a nice bed to set my manicotti on. Now I'm going to start setting my manicotti right into my sauce. And yes, it is messy. You do not have to add that cheese. You could just do the burger and the ground beef and your seasonings, and it probably would not be this messy. But I like messy, so we're going to do messy today. And yes, I get my hands right in it. I like to make mine like this because it's easier for me to stuff the shells. They will stuff clear through because it's a little thin. But as you can see, it will go clear through. So I'm just placing the manicottis on there. And continuing to stuff my manicottis. It's pretty simple, pretty easy, nothing major. The main thing is not to overcook these shells because you are going to be baking them. And you don't want to overcook them. This is going to be absolutely delicious. I like using the teaspoon because I can get it down in there really good. And I like adding the cheese because it kind of binds everything up and it gives it such a good flavor. So you've got all your seasonings, you've got your ground beef. If you want to add ground pork, whatever you want to add to your manicottis. And I've got some cheeses and some sauce, some onions. And this is just a basic recipe that I like. And it's your recipe, so you can change anything that you want to change. And this is the whole 14 manicotti shells. Just trying to move them over there. Plenty of room. teaspoon just makes it easier for me to get all my stuffing down in there. And this pan may not hold all 14. Like I said, it's been a while since I made them. And since I was doing a pantry rotation, and I ran across the Manicotti shells, I thought, well, I'm just going to go ahead and make some stuffed Manicotti. And my old hands just do not work like they used to. And you can make these without them being quite as messy. I think messy is delicious. See what else I've got left here to stuff on it. I might have to stop there because my dish is full and I'm just about out of my stuffing. So that will work out just perfect. Like I said, it's been a while since I made manicotti. And I'm just going to go ahead and see if I can't add a little bit more in those ends. Just to use up the rest of that goodness in there. Alright. Wash them messy hands. Now I'm going to take what is left of my tomato sauce. I'm just going to add that right on the top, right in the center. And then I'm going to get my mozzarella cheese. I'm just going to lightly scatter my mozzarella cheese right there on the top. It's been a while, like I said, since I've made manicotti. I don't like to make a whole lot of Italian dishes because of my husband's acid reflux, so I try to be mindful and make multiple meals. And I'm just going to kind of put a little bit of mozzarella like that right across the top. Hopefully you can see that. And I have my baking dish on a cookie sheet lined with aluminum foil. And I'm going to put this in my oven at 350 degrees. And I'm just going to watch that, keep an eye on it as it bakes. And when the mozzarella cheese has melted, sorry if I'm moving you too fast. When the mozzarella cheese has melted to what I think it should be, all I will have to do then for dinner is make me some Texas toast, some garlic toast, and I will have dinner. And I've made extra, so I'll have extra to put away in a freezer meal. So I hope that was not too boring. I was aiming for about an hour and a half to be up on my foot, my injured foot. Let me go ahead and wash my hands one more time. And this is a simple, easy recipe, nothing special, and it's your recipe, you know, use it the way that you feel comfortable with, add, take away, make it your own recipe, and it's a healthy recipe. You've got your pasta, you've got your pasta sauce, you've got your ground beef, if you want to add your ground pork, some onions, some seasonings, and then I will have my Texas toast, my garlic toast with my dinner, and I can just go ahead and let that bake, and then I can sit back and relax for the rest of my day. I've got my beans cooking in my crock pot. When I make beans tomorrow. And I didn't make too much of a mess over here on my island. I do have 3 noodles that was left over. I probably could have stuffed them a little lighter and squeezed them in there, but I think that'll be just fine. So I'm just trying to do simple, easy, healthy meals, something I know that I can put in the oven and let it bake. I can have a meal today and then have extra for freezer meals. And take it easy on my leg while it is healing. So I'm going to go ahead and gather up all of my goodies here in my handy dandy little trash bag. So I won't have that much to clean up. It'll be pretty easy to clean up. And I can sit back and relax and enjoy the rest of my Friday. I'm going to take these to the trash. And I have just a little bit of mozzarella left over. I'm going to put that in the refrigerator. I'm going to discard these extra 3 noodles. And I have my dinner pretty well prepared for this evening. I'll let that cool. Then I will set it in the refrigerator. And when we're ready for dinner, I will just heat it back up and we will have our dinner. And I won't be stressing and worrying about what am I going to fix for dinner. Quick and easy. And then once I rest a little bit, I'll come in and do my kitchen cleanup. And I'm done for the day. Then the only thing I want to do today is to get both of my puppies bathed. They are Maltese. And so I'm going to get off my foot a little bit, put it up, let it rest. Try to keep the swelling down, the bruising down. And then here in a little bit, I'll come in and bathe my puppies. I can bathe one and take a break, and then bathe another one and take a break. So that way I'm getting everything done. I don't want to put too much on my agenda for the day because I know I'm injured. So that is what I'm doing today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't be afraid to go in your kitchen, try new things. If you find a recipe that you like, go ahead and try it. And if you think, well, I think it would be better if I added or I took away this or that, you know, make it your own recipe. And, you know, experiment and have fun. Enjoy your kitchen. Try new things. So, I'm going to go ahead and hop off here and give this leg a break. I only try to stay up about an hour to an hour and a half. And, of course, I'm trying to keep it not full weight. Resting it as I can, putting all my weight to the other leg and foot. Because I'm not wearing the large boot today, the air boot up to my knee. So until next time, I'm going to hop off here. I'm going to go lay down and get my foot up and rest. I'm going to wait for my timer to go off. I'm going to be setting my timer here for probably about 15-20 minutes. I'll come in and check it. Right now, I can bring it out and let you see how nice this is looking. And you can see how nice that's looking. The mozzarella cheese is melting. My sauce is mixing very nice on the bottom. This will be an absolutely wonderful dinner for myself and my husband. And it will make me some extra freezer meals to put away for another time, another dinner. So I want to thank everybody for stopping in, and if you did like the video, please like, and if you want to subscribe, please do. And I am by no means a professional, not a professional cook, chef, and definitely not a professional filmer. As you have seen, I'm in frame, I'm out of frame, I'm injured, but I'm getting it done. And I so appreciate you for stopping in and watching my videos. And like I have said several times, I put these videos on my channel because my daughter gets overwhelmed really easy in the kitchen. And she likes to come and be in the kitchen with her mom and have me to prepare the meal with her a few times before she feels comfortable. So she's really enjoying me putting some recipes on my channel, and that way she can just follow along. And it's like she's right here in the kitchen with her mama. And she does live in another state, and she's about 3.5 hours away. So she's really enjoying that. So sweetheart, if you're watching this, you've seen how absolutely easy that was. How delicious that looks. And you can do that, sweetheart. So, till next time, bye-bye everyone. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy the rest of your day. And as always, please be kind. Be kind to one another. We need to see more of that. We need to see more kindness, love, and understanding. So till next time, bye-bye everyone. And as always, thank you for being so kind and so patient with me when I'm doing my live streams and I'm cooking and baking. I appreciate it so much. You don't know how much I appreciate it. So till next time, bye-bye everyone. I'm going to get off of here and enjoy some coffee and give this injured leg a little bit of a break. So till next time, bye-bye everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.